Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and suddenly the internet stops working across the continents. Oil prices double overnight, stock markets crash, governments rush into emergency meetings, flights get cancelled, businesses panic, and the strangest part is this: nobody saw it's coming. It sounds like beginning of a disaster movie, but events like this have already happened many times in human history. In fact, some of the biggest moments that shaped our world were completely unexpected until the exact moment they unfolded. These moments are called Black Swan events, rare shocks that appear suddenly, change everything, and only afterwards people start saying the signs were always there. The term Black Swan was popularized by the risk analyst and thinker Nassim Nicholas Taleb, and the name itself comes from a fascinating historical mistake. For centuries in Europe, people believed that every swan in the world was white. It was not based on deep scientific research. It was simply because that was the only type they had ever seen. Because of that limited experience, people confidently assumed that black swans did not exist. But when the explorers reached Australia, they discovered something that instantly shattered this belief. There were black swans living there. In a single moment, an assumption that had lasted centuries collapsed. Taleb used this story as a metaphor for how the world actually works. Just because something has never happened before does not mean it cannot happen tomorrow. A true black swan event follows three simple rules. First, it is extremely rare and unpredictable. Second, it has massive consequences that reshape the society's economies or industries. And third, after it happens, people try to explain it as if it was obvious all along. History provides powerful examples of black swan events that shock the world. One of the clearest examples is 2008 global financial crisis. Before 2008, many experts believed that the global financial system was strong and stable. But when major banks began collapsing, markets crashed across the continents. Millions of people lost jobs. Governments had to step into the rescue entire the financial systems. Another dramatic black swan arrived in 2020 when the global spread of COVID-19. Within weeks, cities shut down, international travel stopped, hospitals filled up, and economies around the world slowed to a halt. Few people imagined that a virus could disrupt the entire planet so quickly. A much earlier example happened in 1914 when Archduke Francis Ferdinand was assassinated. What initially looked like a regional political crisis soon triggered the World War I, drawing multiple nations into one of the deadliest conflicts in history. Another shocking moment occurred in 2001 during the September 11 attacks, when coordinated attacks on the World Trade Center transformed the global security policies, international travel rules, and geopolitical relations overnight. And finally, in 1989, the sudden collapse of fall of Berlin Wall stunned the world, marking the symbolic and end of the Cold War and reshaping the political landscape of Europe. Each of these events seemed impossible until the moment they actually happened. The uncomfortable truth about black swan events is that they are not limited to history. They can appear again at any time, often from the places we rarely think about. One potential scenario involves a narrow waterway called Strait of Hormuz, located between Iran and Oman. Nearly 20% of the world's oil passes through this single passage. If a conflict or blockade suddenly shuts it down, oil prices could skyrocket within days, affecting the fuel prices, transportation costs, and food prices across the world, including countries like India that depend heavily on imported energy. Another possible black swan lies beneath the oceans. The global internet depends on thousands of underwater fiber optic cables connecting the continents. These cables carry the vast majority of international data traffic. If several of them were damaged to sabotage, cyber warfare, or natural disasters, large part of the world could suddenly lose internet connectivity. In a digital economy where banking, communication, and business operations depend on stable internet connections, such a disruption could create a global chaos within hours. And perhaps the most surprising black swan could come from the technology itself. Artificial intelligence is evolving rapidly with companies like OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and Anthropic developing increasingly powerful systems. If a sudden breakthrough produces AI capable of outperforming humans across many intellectual tasks, industries could transform overnight, jobs could change dramatically, and societies may struggle to adapt to the speed of this technological revolution. Black swan events teach us something deeply unsettling about our world. The biggest disruptions rarely come from the risks we are carefully watching. They often come from the possibilities we never even considered. The financial crash, the global pandemics, geopolitical shocks, and the technological revolutions reminds us that history can turn in a single unexpected moment. Somewhere right now, the next black swan may already be forming quietly, waiting for the moment it appears. And when it does, the world will once again look back and say, we should have seen it coming. If you enjoy exploring the hidden forces shaping our world and the stories behind global events, please subscribe.